Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Word Bible Study, a plain and simple book by book, chapter by chapter, and verse by verse study through the entire Bible. Currently, we are in Isaiah chapter 14. Now, this chapter, and as I have maintained, that there are times when we will slow down to deal with certain things that don't come across very often. And this chapter is one of those chapters that the prophecy reveals the origins, who the person is, of Satan. So Satan, the devil, Lucifer. So I want to, of course, obviously deal with that because obviously when we talk about the Satan, of course, is very well-known name, infamous. Okay, and that's the word I'm looking for, because of the rebellion. His rebellion goes back into eternity past, some point in eternity past, which I'll get to in a moment. And so, of course, he is a figure that is from Genesis to Revelations. So when we talk about from Genesis to Revelations, he is the cause of rebellion. And there's a lot of mystery behind this. Now, when I say mystery, questions, okay? So when we say, well, who is Satan? We know who he is, where he came from. We know this. What I'm talking about is the plan of God, where he fits into the plan of God. And he does fit into the plan of God. Let me first dispel some misinformation about Satan. Now, he's not going to be revealed here as Satan. It's going to be, we see that in the book of Revelations. The word Satan does appear in the Old Testament as well as New. The word Satan means adversary, and then the word devil actually means accuser of the brethren. Kind of interesting because over the centuries, that what has filtered into the imagery of Satan is this horrid-looking creature with horns, right? And that's that is not how the Bible pictured him. We don't know how he looks. The Bible does not give a description of him. We could probably say that he does. He probably doesn't look like in terms of the original creation because of sin. But again, we don't know, and it's not something that God focused on. Well, my questions about Satan, and this is something as we read through Scripture, we see that you start with God who is in control, and this is going to blow people's mind because we dealt with this when we went to the book of Job. We dealt with this, but other examples when in Kings, I believe it is, or Chronicles, when these spirits appear before God at the judgment of Ahab, King Ahab. But Satan himself, of course, appears in scriptures a few times. We see him after the baptism of Jesus, as he's driven into the wilderness. He is tempted for 40 days of the devil. He's listed there as the devil. And because he is the adversary, and that's the way he's pictured with the temptations of Christ. He is the accuser of the brethren. So different names: the serpent, the dragon, Satan. Interesting, the term serpent, because he appears in terms of the serpent in the garden when he seduces Eve and Adam. There are a lot of people today who kind of have this picture of Satan in hell. So you have in hell flames, and you have this throne in hell. Okay? Newsflash: Satan has never been to hell. What is interesting about hell is the Bible tells us that hell was created for Satan and his angels. He hasn't been there yet. He's still roaming around. In fact, if you want to say where he's roaming around at is in the heavenly realm. Okay? So when you think about the heavens, you think about there are three heavens. There's the atmosphere heaven, then there's the stellar heavens, and then there's the third heavens, the throne of God. Well, Satan is somewhere up there. So oftentimes people think about Satan, go back to the pit of hell, and I cast you back to the pit of hell. That's a useless prayer, only because Satan has never been there. In fact, Satan is one of the last entities who will be thrown into hell or the lake of fire. Okay, one of the last. So he's going to be around all the way to the end. Now, and I say that because that brings us to something that's very, very, very interesting, because what should change is all of our mythical beliefs about Satan and then God's plan. Meaning this: there is no epic battle between good and evil. That's a man-made concept. This ideal that God is fighting against Satan. That there's a struggle back and forth, between good and evil. And that Satan is on a quest to win more souls than God. And then at the end, he's going to shake his finger and say, I got more souls than you, God. I got more souls. That is a myth. It doesn't exist. That's something that Christians have foolishly fallen for. Scriptures have rather gave it something even more startling, and that is that Satan is a part of God's plan. So we see this in Job. Now, how it started is another thing. We're going to get a glimpse in a moment, but how it started. But then God uses his creation how he pleases, meaning the good and the bad. So in the case of Job, God used Satan to destroy his life to prove Job's integrity. And then he said to Job, to Satan, when they had their discourse, you can destroy his life, but don't kill him. Right? Second discourse, you can take his health, but you can't kill him. And you notice Satan obeyed. So in every case we see Satan under the control of God. There's no epic battle. You don't have a battle going on where God is gonna, come on guys, I need more souls. No. So if I had to say now, because there are a lot of mysteries out there that we don't know, eternity past is one. We're going to get a glimpse. As I said, this is a glimpse, right? A glimpse of Satan and what kind of went on. And more so the nature of Satan. Now, we also know he's the ruler of the prince of the power of the air, so the king's behind the scene. Okay? So behind the scene, he is able to manipulate and rule and corral mankind into wickedness and rebellion against God. His methods haven't changed either. So what we see in Genesis is the same what we saw how he tried to seduce Jesus. It's the same how he seduced us. Thoughts, right? He doesn't have the control. If you stop and think about, like, especially a lot of the horror movies, and you see these, the ghosts and all these spirits, entities, right? If they had the power, that they have, why would they be stuck in the house, like the haunted house, right? And I'm being facetious here, but my point is, Satan doesn't have the power that people give him. He's working under the rule of God. So let's get this glimpse here of who Satan is. All right. So Isaiah chapter 14, and we're going to pick it up in verse 12. So first says, "Shining morning star, how have you fallen from the heavens?" So he asks this rhetorical kind of question. How have you fallen from the heavens? You destroyer of nations, you have been cut down to the ground. So this is the statement that he makes. You said to yourself, I will ascend to the heavens. I will set up my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of God's assembly, in the remotest part of the north. I will ascend above the highest clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you will be brought down to Sheol, into the deepest regions of the pit. Those who see you will stare at you. They will look closely at you. Is this the man who caused the earth to tremble, who shook the kingdoms, who turned the world into a wilderness, who destroyed its cities, and will not release the prisoners to return home? Now, right here, I'm going to stop here because, as you can see, sometimes when we're reading, it's hard to tell, is he referring to a man, right? Or is he referring to Satan? Okay. Now, let me see something here. Let's go back. Let me do this. I'm gonna read this from another. I'll go back to the King James. So let's go to verse 12. I'm gonna read this from. This is the New King James. In verse 12, it says, "How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning." Okay. How are you cut down to the ground, you who weaken the nations? For you have said in your heart. Stop. So in the New King James, you notice the word Lucifer is used here, and then you will notice it is not used. I'm reading from the Home Minute Christian Standard Bible, so it doesn't have Lucifer in there. Okay. If we look at, and I'm just kind of going through here with different translations, American Standard Version. Okay. It says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O day star, son of the morning? How art you cut down to the ground? Thou didst lay low in the nations." Now, so I'm not going to kind of do a deep dive into this, in the sense of why um, the term or the name uh, um, why the term Lucifer, how did it enter into um, the King James and not some of the other translation? Okay, so let me say this because again, some of the people, if you read the King James and know King James, then you're gonna probably wonder where this name came from. Okay, let me go back here. Uh, um, all right, uh, here we go. Let's see something here. Now, I'm just going to do this again. I'm going to leave this argument for the scholars, okay? But I just know it comes up, and let me say why. And it says here, and I'm reading from Bible.org too. The argument of the modern translations deny the deity of Christ based on the connection of several dots. Okay, that's not what I'm going to look at. Uh, uh, it says Lucifer here. The King James advocates to claim Isaiah 12 must be a prophecy about the devil. I'm not going to even get into this. Other than, let me just tell you, this is, I'll probably pick it up for the next one. I'm not going to go into this other than, as you can see, there are different translations. The older King James has Lucifer. Newer translations do not. Okay, so I don't want to get too far off into that. Like I say, I'll let that be a discussion for the scholars. Okay, so um, I think we have enough that we could say, okay, who is he talking about? What is he talking about when he says shining morning star? How have you fallen from the heavens? So um, now the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because you look at verse 12, and then you look down to verse number 16 when he says, "Is this the man who caused the earth to tremble?" So is he talking about a man? Now, if you go to Ezekiel, Ezekiel, you will see he switches from a man. Then again, he's going to bring up Lucifer. Now, I'm going to actually get into that in the next study, or maybe the study afterwards. Um, what I wanted to focus on here is, notice he talks about shining morning star. How have you fallen from the heavens? You destroy the nations. How have you been cut down to the ground? Now, let me just kind of say this. You see what's called the seven proclamations of the devil. One, I will ascend into the heavens. I will set up my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mountain of the gods' assemblies. I will ascend above the highest clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. I'm missing one. Okay, let me go back. For you said, I will ascend to the heavens. I will set up my throne. I will sit on the mountain of the gods. I will ascend above the highest clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Now, I'm going to have to read the King James here, because this translation is a lot different. Even though I like the Holman Christian Standard, trust me, for years and years and years, I'm used to the King James, so I'm used to that. So, but these sayings or purposes, that was the pride of Satan, and that ends with what you would be brought down, verse 15, but you would be brought down to Sheol, to the deepest part of the pit. Now, I'm going to come back to this, obviously, and then um, and finish this up. Look, don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below, all comments. So welcome. I'll see you in the next study.